normally Candace is the person at the end of the day who the Daily Wire, wheels out whenever they want to denigrate Black Lives Matter, whenever they want to, what's the word I'm looking for? Whenever they want to critique, the Black community broadly, they know that they have Candace here to give them a little bit of that cover. So let's kind of hear what she has to say on her show, shall we?
All right, let's talk about the Tyree Nichols situation. Obviously, we have to talk about it. The media has nearly insisted upon it by teasing out the video before they released it. It was almost like a trailer. It's coming. It's going to be really bad. It's going to be worse than anything that you've ever seen.
Okay, off the bat, is this what's the problem with that? Like, okay, they're like, hey, we're going to release open information. Just to let you know, it'll come out around this time. There might be a slight delay, but if anybody asks, this is when it's coming out. Like, yeah, people want to see the footage if they have access to the footage. No shit.
It's going to be worse than Rodney King, the police chief actually said. So, of course, we all expected it
it's
to drop
pretty bad.
Friday
It
at
was
6 o'clock
pretty
p.m.
bad.
And I want to start off by offering some commentary to his parents because, first and foremost, this is not anything at all.
I am sure they're appreciative of that.
And what I mean by that is that the media told us a bunch of falsities in the beginning and lied. In this circumstance, you see a man that is...
This is unrelated. Should I move my light? Maybe I should move it over there. Maybe that would be better. Like I said, every time. I'll deal with this. I'll deal with this when we're done.
Yelling mom, and he's not referring to his girlfriend like George Floyd was referring to. He's referring to his actual mom who lived just a couple of blocks away. So that's...
Does that matter? Wait. Wait, what's the relevant part? Like, okay, does that matter? Like, yeah, he was yelling for a loved one. Okay.
It's heart-wrenching to watch. And I want to acknowledge that these are individuals that are in pain, irrespective of what took place, to watch the last moments of your son's life, someone who you were in their life. Again, not like George Floyd, where people came out of the woodwork. I'm his cousin, I'm his brother, I'm a person who hasn't spoken to him in years, but I love him and I miss him. This is...
Wait, what is this? Candace, what is this? Seriously, like honestly, what the fuck even is this? Wait, no, we're going back.
What took place to watch the last moments of your son's life. And foremost, this is not anything at all like the George Floyd situation.
Oh,
what I mean,
wait, okay, so she's like, hey, these are two black guys who got killed. Let me tell you how one is tragic and unacceptable, and the other is perfectly fine, acceptable. You should not have been shocked by George Floyd's death. Like, I don't know what the fuck is this? They talk about fucking... These are the same people who talk about fucking oppression Olympics. What is this nonsense? Two people's lives are lost. Who gives a fuck about any of this frivolous detail about whose name that they yelled out? Is the fact that them as a human being yelled out to a loved one not enough for these people? Fucking monstrous.
What I mean by that is that the media told us a bunch of falsities in the beginning and lied. In this circumstance, you see a man that is yelling mom, and he's not referring to his girlfriend like George Floyd was referring to. He's referring to his actual mom.
Okay, who cares?
Blocks away. So
is it like worse that he yelled for his mother and not his girlfriend by a nickname?
Irrespective of what took place, to watch the last moments of your son's life,
like,
someone who you were in their life. Again, not like George Floyd, where people came out of the woodwork. I'm his cousin, I'm his brother, I'm a person who hasn't spoken to him in years, but I love him and I miss him. This is a...
What? Because so let me get this straight. It was okay that the cops killed George Floyd because he didn't have a lot of close friends at the time. That's what we're going with. Okay, sure. That makes fucking sense.
and they are truly aggrieved. And so I just want to recognize that and offer
Uh-huh.
compassion as we discuss this circumstance.
Right.
The second thing that I want to
Candace, let's be clear. You would push every black person in front of you into the slave trade. Let's be really clear about that. Candace is the first is the Candace has already hedged her bets that in any scenario, like she will push every black person in front of her for any, like, in any dangerous, any kind of like situation, to put herself in front of them. Like, Candace Owens is a awful person.
say is that the footage is positively horrific. It
Yeah, no
is
shit.
horrific to watch. In the beginning, I kind of went into it and I said, oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And then it goes on. And for me, it was this particular portion where you see that they had Tyree Nichols on the ground. You see that he has his hands up in the defense position and
What?
he's fully outnumbered. And they continue.
Yeah, cause that's maybe, maybe Candace hasn't like paid any attention for the last couple of years, but that is kind of how it works. I remember Eric Gardner. Come on. I distinctly remember Eric Garner. Not exactly a a fair 1v1 me Rust Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 match. Now, was it? It's almost like every instance of police brutality always involves a disproportionate amount of ability to harm someone on the police's side.
Continue to hit him. They're pepper spraying him. And then there's this moment where one of the police officers starts pulling him up.
Stop it. I also want to be clear. So I don't really want to watch the whole thing for the Tyree Nichols stuff. And damn sure we're not watching it on stream. I don't even know if I can show that, but like, this is the thing. What happened to Tyree Nichols? Bring me back real quick. What happened to Tyree Nichols was not unique, was not surprising, and was not uncharacteristic of the police. Now, it was shocking because of the maybe prolonged episode of violence that we witnessed. But when we talk about police brutality, pepper spraying somebody, hitting them while they're on the ground, putting chokeholds on people, doing apprehending assaulting somebody after they've already been handcuffed, after they've been detained, after they've been taken to the ground. We have seen every single element of Tyree Nichols' abuse since the Rodney King beatings in 90 and 92. Like, this was not a unique event at the end of the day. And that's the part that's so damaging. That's the part that people have consistently been getting more and more pissed about, because we see this time and time and time and time and time again. And we are told constantly that it's not the system, it's just a few bad apples. But yet, these bad apples are somehow in California, they're in Ohio, they're in New York, they're in every state apparently, but it's not a problem with the system. So, it's around the country, but you can't find it according to the conservatives in the United States. It's cowardice is what it is. And it's also a disregard and an uninterest in people's lives. But yeah, as violent as it was, not that unique. We've seen all of this before. Just so happens that we got to see more of it. Now, you could have a conversation about, isn't it interesting how quick the turnaround was to get body cam footage out, to basically throw these cops? What is it that these officers did that any of the others didn't, that earned them getting thrown under the bus, earned them getting thrown out by their boys in blue who are always supposed to back the blue. You can have a conversation about why these are the 5 officers that immediately, they didn't go on they didn't go on paid leave. They didn't go on administrative leave. They're not sitting at home picking up a paycheck, hanging out, waiting to find out if they have a job. No. The police force there were quick to act. And that's the thing. That's, we can have that conversation, but we're not going to. Not right now. At the moment, the conversation we need to be having is about police and the system. But there is going to be a time, in the short-ish future, where we need to talk about why these officers were not afforded the protection that usually police precincts offer their other officers. And could that be, I don't know, another, just one more piece of evidence for the racist system of policing? Could possibly be. And anyway, let's get back.
And that's the moment where the police officers, to me, are just so guilty, right? You have every opportunity to apprehend the suspect when he is fully on the ground with his hands up, right?
And what's different about this scenario
back up to his feet
and George
and
Floyd?
They start punching him in the face. What could possibly justify that? Doesn't make sense, right?
Like again, keep in mind, horrible violence, but what's the difference? What, they kept beating him as opposed to what? Just killing him in one combo? That's really the only substantive difference here.
It's not like you're fighting him and you just can't get him onto the ground. He's on the ground. Why pull him back up? It is important to say this because sometimes this gets lost in the media, but the footage that has been released only begins after the police confront him, which means we have not yet seen all of the footage in its entirety. From the BBC, this is a direct quote, the footage released only begins after police confront him at an intersection at 8:24 p.m. local time. Police say the initial traffic stop was not filmed, but we don't know why. So we don't know why.
I wonder why. I wonder why the police had no interest in filming that. That's a good question. That's a great one.
Why we are not
Whoa, that's loud. Okay, we're going to turn Candace down just a little bit.
seeing the initial traffic stop. And why that is relevant is because you may see that as this case pulls out, some more information is going to be provided. I think it's very strange that they teased this release. They dropped everything except for the initial stop. And again, it's also relevant because this is what the police officers, as they were speaking,
it's almost like the police have a vested interest in framing
really
the interaction
we don't know whether or not he's really high.
in their favor.
Toxicology has not yet been released yet.
It's funny how this is suspicious to Candace. This has never been suspicious to Candace in any other case, by the way.
And they also said that he grabbed their gun. Now, if that took place, if there's some part of the footage that we haven't seen yet that is completely wild and we see them being threatened and we see the suspect, Tyree Nichols, grabbing their gun, it wouldn't change my opinion that at the point that he was on the floor and they could have apprehended him and they pulled him back up to beat him, that they are guilty. It would not change my opinion. But
would it? Let's be honest. Would it? Does anybody actually believe that Candace Owens gives a shit about if there was a suspected if the police had suspected that he was going for their gun? No. This is irrelevant to Candace Owens. Candace Owens has never once been interested in the if he's on the ground but he's still going for your gun, I guess not. How many times has Candace Owens gone out of her way to make the cops' to make the situation that the cops claim to have been in the most dangerous possible? How often has she talked about how dangerous it is to be a police officer? How dangerous it is that you could lose your life at the blink of an eye because somebody grabs your gun. We've already heard this from Candace on other cases.
it would allow you to say, I can understand, or not even understand, but you can see why the police are so fired up. Because at the point that we see the footage, you just go, are the police on drugs? Why are they so angry? Why are they so up and at
Fun
it?
fact, they're not on drugs. They're on
as
power.
you're watching this beating.
That's what they're
and
on.
You're going, what led to this moment, right? What led to this climax is what you're thinking. And if it feels like maybe we're missing something, it could be we might see maybe they got super angry because in the beginning he grabbed their gun, as they said. We don't know if that's true. So I want to acknowledge that there are portions of this that are missing. We don't know whether or not he died from his injuries. That has not been yet determined. At least media is saying that has not yet been determined, even though family members are saying he did die from the beating. We don't officially have that as the narrative in our possession, and we don't know what happened in the beginning. And I think it is ridiculous that they did not just release the full footage, because that is how conspiracies are born, right? When you only insert a piece of the footage or the end of the footage, and people don't know what transpired in the beginning. Again, my personal opinion is that
does it matter if he went for their gun? Does it matter if he went for one of 5 officers' firearms who are beating the shit out of him? Don't you think that that's a pretty reasonable and pretty understandable self-defense response? These cops put a beating on this guy worse than anything was ever going, than worse than what happened to someone like, I don't know, maybe the right's favorite, Kyle Rittenhouse. But yet, we still have to have a conversation about maybe there's a way that the cops were being kind of, sort of reasonable, or like maybe I can understand that if he went for, there are 5 officers there. If you are telling me that 5 officers, like one guy having his like one guy having his gun reached for, and there's 4 other guys, it's not gonna matter. It's not gonna matter. Like, it's fucking absurd.
Nothing would justify what happened toward the end of that video. I also want to talk about what I have been saying for years, which is that if this felt to you like it did to me, like you were watching a gang beat someone, like if you were watching the Bloods as they caught a Crip, or the Crips as they caught a Blood, and they're just beat.
Oh my God, Candace, why are you like this? Also, I find it funny that that only when the cops are, like only when the police that we're referring to are black is Candace Owens willing to characterize the police as gangs. Do you notice that? When it's what's his fucking name that kneeled on George Floyd's neck? That guy's not a gang member. When it's what's the I'm always bad with fucking names. When it's homeboy who shot what's the kid? The kid in Florida. When it's that guy, I didn't hear this guy's like a gang member. This guy's like a violent criminal. No, I heard self-defense out of that. Like, it's funny. It's funny that this is the singular time you have ever heard Candace ever refer to the police as a gang. Only when it's somebody when it's an officer who's black, when it's officers who are black. Isn't that telling?
Beating him. If it felt to you like that, then maybe it's perhaps because of what we have been saying, which is that when you remove police officers, right, that are good, if you start movements like defund the police, when
how do you do that?
Incentivize policing, if you actually did remove all police, what's going to naturally rise up?
Did that happen? No, seriously. In Memphis, Tennessee, do they not have a police force, you dumb fucking bitch? Like, did that happen? I'm not even gonna go check, because there's zero fucking chance that it did.
are gangs, right? It is why these cities have become more murderous. It is why criminals are not fearful in these cities anymore, in these inner city communities. The reason why this is taking place is because that's what happens in the absence of policing. But also what's happening
The
is that
police,
when good men
legendarily
say,
not
there's no
around.
incentive to be a police, then bad men say there's an incentive to be a police officer. Now I'm wearing the badge. Now I can do whatever I want to. And in this circumstance, it may is that
Wait,
when
wait,
good men
go
say
back,
there's no incentive
go
to
back
police,
for a
what's
second.
going to naturally rise up are gangs, right?
Right.
It is why these cities have become more murderous.
Well, you have to also remember that, like, not only to her point about gangs, the police are literally a gang. You do understand that. They hold a monopoly of force over the areas in which they police. They are sanctioned by the government to perform violence in the what's the word? In the on behalf of the state and the state's interests.
It is why criminals are not fearful in these cities anymore, in these inner city communities. The reason why this is taking place is because that's what happens in the absence of policing. But also what's happening is that when good men say there's no incentive to be a police, then bad men say there's an incentive to be a police officer. Now,
wait, if you're a good person and you think that policing is a good career, you would do it anyway, because your incentive would be being a good police officer. You see, good police officers don't need incentives. Good police officers want to be good police officers. That's their goal. Their start point, their end point is be a good cop. Their start point is learn how to be a good cop. That's the difference, dumbass. Like, what the fuck is this? What oh, you've said that you want guardrails on police violence, and you want accountability for police. Well, you know, if there's accountability for police, good officers won't want to apply for it. Won't want to be cops if they're going to be held to account. Guess what? They're good police officers. They don't need accountability because they would be good police officers. You have accountability to deter bad police officers. This isn't hard. This isn't fucking hard. This is rather simple with your dumb looking ass face. Fucking Christ. I also, by the way, the reason why I'm a little bit more heated you know, in the last like minute or two, I come from a police family. This is bullshit. This is nothing but fucking apologia for abusive, corrupt police. That's all this is. That is, we cannot have accountability because good cops don't like accountability. Fun fact, good cops fucking love accountability. Guess what? If you don't like accountability, don't be a fucking officer. How about that?
I'm wearing the badge. Now I can do whatever I want to. And in this circumstance, it may be
this is the most backwards fucking logic ever.
You're no longer picking from high quality men. You're dealing with people that have within their capacity to harm other individuals. And I do want to again press upon the fact that the media in this circumstance has been inexcusable.
Who gives a shit? Who fucking gives a shit? Who the fuck is talking about the media right now? We're talking about policing, Candace. The issue is with policing, not with the fucking media. But again, notice that's the only thing she wants to talk about. The only fucking thing she wants to talk about. The only actual substantive thing she wants to talk about is the fucking media, because all her whole goal is to differentiate herself and differentiate her news network from actual news networks.
We have gotten ourselves into this predicament because of the media.
Using this tragedy to draw a comparison and make yourself
is asking ourselves
look like some arbiter of truth and fact.
Had already secured and executed an interview with Tyre Nichols' parents before we even ever saw the footage. Ben Crump.
It's called good journalism, you dipshit.
Was down there before we even saw the footage.
Something the Daily Wire has no idea.
370 million people. How are they able to so quickly reach out to all of the right race-baiting characters, right?
What?
To get
Go back.
We are furthering ourselves into this predicament because of media. And a piece of that is asking ourselves the question, how on earth it is that Don Lemon had already secured and executed an interview with Tyree Nichols' parents before we even ever saw the footage.
Does she know?
Ben Crump was down there before we even saw the footage. Who is feeding this information? There's a lot of people in the United States, 370 million people.
Probably the victims, because CNN reached out to them to investigate the story. They have these things called investigators at CNN. They have reporters. Do you not you do realize that all of these news networks have local reporters who reach out to these people because guess what? They live in the same fucking city. Also, I don't know if Candace doesn't know how fucking what's the word? Cartography works. But why don't you grab a fucking map and tell me how far New York is from Memphis, Tennessee? It's not that far. I don't even think they're in the same. I don't even think they're in different time zones. It takes you maybe a 2-hour flight to get down to Tennessee from like New York. I'm pretty sure. Especially if you're one of these rich, like, you know, CNN broadcasters, or really anybody with CNN. These people run a fucking news network, but somehow have no idea how investigative journalism works. Hell, even assuming that's a word, journalism works. Like, what the fuck is this? Oh, how did they get down there? Why am I doing Jordan Peterson? How did they get down there before like footage was out? Fun fact, they probably have a local subsidiary that they have contacts with that can just go and ask the family members, or ask a source at the police department, or ask a source in local government. Like, holy shit.
People, how are they able to so quickly reach out to all of the right race-baiting characters?
I don't know, maybe it's the fucking internet.
To get this footage out and to start hitting at the fact that policing in America is wrong, and to suggest that people should be outside protesting and being outraged. Peaceful protests, they say.
Says the Make America Great Again fan.
Peaceful, that's not what they want. And they so desperately want to make this about race. I don't know how they possibly could. All of the police officers that have been charged with second-degree murder here, all 5 of them are Black.
Whoa. There are Black police officers who reinforce and perform punitive actions on other Black people on behalf of the broken policing system that we have, that disproportionately targets Black Americans. Whoa, how the fuck did that happen? Don't you think when they became police officers, somebody pulled them into the room and went, hey, now you guys got to remember, you're defending Whitey now. You guys got to remember that you're on team mayonnaise now. Like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, it's called a fucking system. I participate in capitalism as like someone who's a lot more socialist leaning. Like, these systems are broader and more subtle than you would ever think, Candace. Fucking A.
Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, Emmett Martin III, Desmond Mills Jr., and Justin Smith are all Black men. The Memphis chief of police, who was...
I love how she says that with the same, like, vile, like, the same wicked tongue that she would listing, like, rapists or something.
Out there telling us the footage is going to be really bad, essentially a dog whistle for riots and looting, right? Her name's Carolyn Davis. She is also Black. The racial composition of Memphis alone, it is a Black city. African Americans, 64.41% of the city is Black, compared to just 27.87% of the city, which is white. You have an all-Black city. You have a
Were those numbers all Black? I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. My brain was like, I was trying to recover the brain cells from this fucking stupidity. I was trying to like regrow them really quickly in between. Give me those numbers again.
Of the city, which is white. You have an all-Black The racial composition of Memphis alone. It is
Uh-huh.
a black city. African Americans,
Uh-huh.
64.41.
64? All black, 64. Okay.
Percent of the city is black, compared to just 27.87% of the city, which is white. You have an all-black city. You have a majority black city council, 13 members comprised of 8 black individuals and 5 white people, okay? This city couldn't be black, or maybe it could. This is a black city. This has nothing to do with race.
64% black city. Are you guys familiar with the one drop rule? Is that what this is? Is Memphis just falling under the one drop rule? That because Memphis has like 1% over, like, if Memphis has 51% black people, it's immediately a black city.
It is extraordinary to watch individuals try to deem it so. One example, Van Jones. It's stunning. You're going to think that this was written for the Babylon Bee. You're going to think this is satire, but no.
I would love for Candace Owens to actually converse with Van Jones.
And the headline reads,
opinion, oh, hey, we looked at this.
The police who killed Tyree Nichols were black, but they might still have been driven by racism.
I love that Candace Owens' logo over here is like a fucking half circle and then a full circle, because it really shows that, like, this is basically her fucking brain right here. There's like half a fucking neutron. There's like half a fucking neutron and like one proton that constantly just smash together trying to come up with political takes. Like, fucking stupid. This is basically, I love that. I also love, now that I think about it, no, scratch that. What this is basically the equivalent to where she is brain-wise. Like, you know how you give kids those, like, the shape through the hole that's a similar shape? That's her fucking logo. Her fucking logo is the fucking shape game you give, like, pre-K kids. That's how much fucking brain power we're working with here.
Wow.
Wow.
Stunning.
Wow, it's
what
stunning.
What university do you have to go to be that dumb? That dumb to imply that it still might have been about race. We got 5 black men.
You know what's funny is he also like really like rode the edge on that one. He said like might and like kind of. What was it? 31. When do they cut it off? No. Go back. Show me the fucking. I want to see the thing. The police who killed Tyree Nichols were black, but they might still have been driven. My man fucking came over here and like only half went there. He was like, look, it's a possibility. We're not saying it's definite, but it's a possibility. And she's still bitching and moaning about it.
We're black, but they might still have been driven by racism. Wow. It's stunning. I mean, what university do you have to go to be that dumb? That dumb to imply that it still might have been about racism. Yet 5 black men beat up a black man because deep down they were white supremacist racists. That's obviously what.
Nope, that's not what it said. That is not what it said. Let's go back. Candace, since you don't know how to read, driven by racism, meaning the actions that they took can be attributed to the system in which they were operating in. Now, obviously, Van Jones was being probably a little bit, and this is the only concession I will give on this topic. Van Jones was being unspecific, mainly because it's a headline. You only have so much space to write for a headline. But Candace knows that. Candace already knows what he's talking about. And guess what? Do you think Candace read any of this article? Do you think she did? No. Because this article got screenshotted and then thrown up on Twitter, and then everyone had a little fit about it. Because at the end of the day, that's as far as these people get. That's as far as their brain actually takes them.
Still might have been about racism. Yet 5 black men beat up a black man because deep down they were white supremacist racists. That's obviously what it is. Or take this tweet from Jameel Hill. She wrote, I
These
need
people fucking
so many
live
people to understand
in like
this regarding
Candace's
Tyree
brain.
Nichols. Several of the police officers who murdered Freddie Gray were black. The entire system of policing is based on white supremacist violence.
Yep. We see people under the
see people under the boot of oppression carry its water all the time.
Yes, Candace, that would be you as well. Candace, funnily would absolutely be the person to sell like her black neighbors into slavery if she could, 100%.
And that's very typical of Jamil Hill. It's very typical for her to say something like that.
Do you notice she also like
she is wired.
she always hyper focuses on black commentators because that's her job.
No
like her job is to come on here and challenge other black people because they know that Ben doing it looks bad.
Of rational thinking. Right,
the only time it looks good for Ben is when he reads off Cardi B rap lyrics. That's the only time it looks good for Ben.
React emotionally. They're like, I recognize you, that you are a primate as well, but there's something wrong here. And
wow.
falls under the same category.
Wow,
it doesn't matter.
primate.
Waiting there, waiting to attack. No rational thinking whatsoever. They want people to be angry. It's fun for them. It's a sport for them. They don't care about Tyree Nichols. They don't care about his parents. They don't care about anything. They just get to vent and be frustrated and to act like animals. And that's what they're doing all the time, right? But you can't pay attention to it. You just have to recognize.
Wow, really going out there with the racist animal rhetoric there, or dog whistle, Candace. Really like it.
Has nothing to do with white supremacy. In fact, I would argue again that it is instances like all that Black Lives Matter has accomplished in the past in terms of telling people to riot, to loot, to de-incentivize people that are policing that lead to moments like this.
Is that what Black Lives Matter says to do?
Policing. When you say the police force needs to look like us, remember that whole push?
Well, yeah.
Things would be better if people look like us. We just need more black people policing. And then you have a circumstance like this happens, and it's like, oh, it doesn't even matter if they're black, even them, they're deep.
Wait, but the idea is that if you have more black police officers, hopefully they would reform the system from within to reduce this kind of violence, because the goal is to reduce violence, not specifically against black people, reduce violence across the board. You reduce all violence by way of statistics. You reduce violence done on black people. Like, that's how this works. Like,
deep down white supremacists. So again, the entire situation here is unfortunate. It's a sad situation. We don't have all of the details. We should wait to have all those details before we give our final conclusions. But from where I am sitting,
wait. Are you about to give your conclusion, you fucking idiot? You can't do the like, look guys, we don't have enough information. Let's like wait until it all comes out and then we'll, and then we can all like chime in with our takes. You and Ben already came in with your takes. Ben already tweeted and you already did this video. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And this is also not how news is performed, by the way. Like, no, we're not going to be waiting 4 months down the line when the actual like a criminal hearing happens. What am I saying? 4 months from now, probably a year from now, and then the news covers it. No, you cover it right now because it's news, because it's new is in the word, dipshit. Like, what the fuck?
I watched toward the end of this meeting. Absolutely horrific, and there is no justification for it.
We shouldn't give our takes without all the information, but I'm gonna give my take without all the information. I'm Candace Owens. I fucking gargle bath salts. Fucking, what a fucking idiot. What an absolute fucking disgusting person. Like, genuinely fucking grotesque. The thing that they tell, like at the end of all YouTube videos where they tell you to like click on one of these like things to watch more videos. Yeah, I've been meaning to film one of those, so that's what I was doing. I was just setting it up to film one.